Rightio there, Gamblers Degenerates Anonymous. Let's fucking go. Oh, it's a bit of a late one this, so might just be me who's watching this, but we can just go from me, gambling, UFC tonight. Starting at 10, UFC Houston, Strickland Hernandez, finishing at R3. Let's go. We got, how many weeks we got? We got 8 weeks straight of UFC events. Serious cheddar to be made here. That being said, this is one of the craziest nights. Well, let me rewind back up. It's a little bit late right here because the Dan Hooker files have come out. Dan Hooker's gay. Dan Hooker's so gay. Or he dated a stripper who's gone to lots of lengths to make out he's gay. But the MMA world is just in utter shock. Not Dan Hooker. You know, not Dan Hooker. Fucking oyo, mate. Oh, that is brutal. What is he playing at? Fucking come and suck me off, mate. I'll be waiting. But here's the reason why you gotta train your grappling. He dated this woman for something like 2 or 3 years, paid all her bills and everything, and in the end, you know what she said about him? Someone went, she's trying to ruin his career. She said his trash grappling is ruining his career. Oh, that cuts me deep, man. Please don't ever be that guy. That'd hurt so much, you know. There's 2 things I learned here, and it's like, if a woman I've been with ever says I've got trash grappling, or I was just mediocre, oh, pain. You know what I mean? Maybe it is better to just go John Jones. But right, let's go back to the gambling. We've been up. We are so up. We are so up and getting so close to the $500,000. Now, what have we got to do? I think we've got to change 8 to 16 this week. Now, currently, mine's up. I'm mad up at the minute on the UFC bets. But I might put all in. But we're imagining we're following the flipping a pound. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512. And that's how you flip a pound 10 times for £512. But if you flipped £512 10 times, let's go. 1,204. What? 1,024. 2,048, 4,096, 8,200, 16,400, 32,800, 65,536, 131,072, 262,144, and then on the 10th time it's £524,288. So it's how deep do you want to go in at the flip? If you've got money to spare, go deeper on the flip. Always go deeper. But right, let's start with the bets because it's a bit of a late one, this one. So let's get the betting done straight away. Now, I have chose favourites that should, because here's the thing I do, as I do favourites that should, underdogs that could. I'm going to do another one today called a split safe. You know what I mean? We wore a condom, but it's split. It's a bit split safe, this bet. You know what I mean? It's split safe. There's a few underdogs, but it just feels safe. It feels veteran. We're a veteran of the game. We are safe. But the condom split. It's not that safe. But we've got favourites that should. People that are heavy favourites that past fights and records show that they should win. But my problem with my favourites that should this week is it's got 2 women's fights in it. And they can always go to decision and go either way. So you may want to leave them out. But it'll only put it at like a 1.55, which is the betting odds. Whatever I say, imagine it's times by pound. Yeah? So if I say 1.8, that's just £1 pays you back £1.80. If I say 2.75, £1 gives you £2.75 back. It's that simple. And that's not £1 gives you £2.75 back. That doesn't mean you get £3.75. That's 1. If it's a 2.75, you put a pound, they give you £2.75 back. That's it. This is simple. Couldn't be more simple. But right, favourites that should, underdogs that could, and split safe. Now I am going with favourites that should. Is the first fight. Now this is a favourites that should, but I'm not really sure at the same time because they're both just massive lanky girls, and the other one's kind of hot, so I'm struggling to go against her. But 2 KO streak by Carly Judice in the first fight makes me want to go with her because women that can knock women out are just a level above other women. And Juliana Miller, like I said, she's tall and she's hot, but she's got losses, and I think she's got a KO or ground and pound loss recently. And Carly Judice is 1.12 to win, whilst Juliana Miller is 6.50. So Judice is our first favourite that should. In the second fight is there is Yadia Delvey versus Jordan Levitt. And Yadia Delvey is the 1.25 favourite. Jordan is the 4.0 favourite. Let me bring up this topology. But Yadia Delvey is a Gracie Barra Houston. So he's in his hometown, Houston, fighting. I'm going to go with him because he'd be a favourite anyway. But the simple fact that he's fighting in his hometown as well pretty much settles it. Pretty much settles it that it's going to be him. He's got 2 round 1 rear naked chokes, and Jordan Levitt has lost by round 1 to Chase Hooper and Paddy the Badder. Now, I don't consider either of them to have strength, whereas Yadia Delvey, he's Gracie Barra Houston, so he's got his strength. I mean, he's got his jiu-jitsu prowess, but he's super mad strong by the looks of it. And so if he's getting round 1 rear naked chokes from being strong, and this guy's losing to Chase Hooper by a round 1 rear naked choke, I feel it's only right to guarantee it's his win. It's his hometown, and it couldn't be a better chance. And Jordan Levitt's just weird, man. Looks like a pedo. But yeah, just a proper weird guy. So I'm going against that. But that's another one added to favourites that should. Yadia Delvey. Now I'm going to skip a couple of fights to go to another favourite. Because I'm just going through the bets first of all. It's just so happened that they were the first 2 fights. And they're in favourites that should. Just bringing up some details so that I can look through their heights and weights. Jocelyn Edwards, essentially Leon Edwards as a transgender. That is what we've got right now. We've got Leon Edwards fighting in the female divisions, the UFC bantamweight female divisions. But I'm going to go with Jocelyn Edwards. They had a fight before. It's versus Nora Canal. They fought before and Nora won by like a split decision. But Jocelyn Edwards has been on a bit of a spree. 3 finishes back to back and then wants redemption arc. If you've finished 3 other people and then you want a redemption arc, I just feel you're guaranteed to win. And the odds makers do as well because she's 1.30. Nora Canal's 3.50. With 2 losses and 2 wins. And she's missed weight. Interesting. 2 losses and 2 losses and she's won with 2 weights. She's missed weight twice when she's won. Whereas she's actually made weight for this fight. Otherwise she's had 2 losses. So I've got to go with Jocelyn Edwards there. The next one in my favourites that should is Jacoby Smith. Yeah, now I think he's the first fight on the main card. I'll just check that for you. No, Pereira and Zachariasi are the first fight on the main card. So the second fight on the main card is just Jacoby Smith and Josiah Harrell. Now Josiah Harrell is a late replacement as well, but they're both 11-0, and they're both sick. They're both really, really good. But Jacoby Smith knew the fight was coming. Is someone that's an elite level wrestler athlete with pure KO power. 2 UFC fights and a Contender Series fight, and I believe they're all finishes. And if I'm remembering correctly, there's a submission, a stood-up knockout, and a ground and pound knockout. So I had to go with him for this. When Josiah Harrell he finishes people with ground and pound and rear naked chokes. He's had a bout with Melvin Gillard and finished him with rear naked choke, but I just think Melvin Gillard's an old dude, and it's outside the UFC. Jacoby Smith looks very, 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 very good. It's a welterweight fight. He's a bit bigger. He's a bit bigger on the reach. He's got, reach, height, reach, and age advantage. So, and the other guy's called Muscle Hamster. Oh my God. Why do I have hiccups? But yeah, they are my 4 together for favourites that should. Now, I would say to you, pick 3 of them 4, and you will have a 1.8. And there's our flip. If you pick all 4, we've got a 2.3. Yeah? Now, I'm classing going with 3 of them, yeah? It's your choice which 3 you want, but I would choose 3 of them out of the 4 to guarantee money. All 4, 2.3, still a pretty much safe bet, but mathematically you're always further behind if you add more and more fights to your bets. So let's move across to underdogs that could. Yeah. Now, underdogs that could, first one I'm gonna go with is Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland should not be this big of an underdog. He took a year off because he's broke his scapula or something, and you can see his shoulders fucked when I watch it. When you look at him and watch him on videos, and I just think the top 5 in each division are elite of the elite. Anthony Hernandez just has, I've watched a lot of his fights, it's just basic pressure, basic striking, and very basic double leg to single leg. He always keeps his head on the inside to avoid, it's pressurized to the chest or to the stomach to avoid any elbows or knees. So he's good at defending the damage from it, and he just always throws it in and dives it in. Sean Strickland should be good enough to hide away from this and keep away from this. Just because his stance makes everything awkward, but there's going to be loads of just, he punches Anthony Hernandez, Hernandez just drops in to shoot, and it's if Sean Strickland can defend that. And I think he can, because no one's got memory of Sean Strickland getting beat up like that. You know what I'm saying? So that is what I would pick and choose for it. I would actually choose Strickland. I'm a big proponent for thinking, I might just put a load of money on Strickland alone. If you were to put 50 quid on Strickland, what is it you'd get back? 175 quid? That's a lot of money, man. That's a mass difference. He should not be that. Is it 175? If you put 100, you'd get 325. So yeah, it's a little bit. 25 quid. £12.50 off. Something like 165 per 50. But regardless, Strickland should not be this much of an underdog. I am choosing him. He could lose, and it could be his downfall and his ending, and he's going under. But I just don't see it happening. I feel like the only people that will really beat him is your massive Duplessis, massive Alex Pereira, massive Hamzat. Other than that, it's going to be very hard for anyone to beat him, especially when he can walk down Costa. And I consider Costa better than Hernandez, but Costa doesn't throw as much takedowns and doesn't have good takedowns like Hernandez. But yeah, that's my underdog that could. Strickland 3.25. My second underdog that could. And this is a big underdog that could, because everything in me is just saying why is Philip Rowe such a big underdog? And that is the third fight on the card. Philip Rowe versus, I think, Jean-Paul Lebezonoye. Second UFC fight. I don't even think he won his first one. But let me get the stats here, because the heights and stuff are crazy. He is not 5'11" and he's 6'3", because it looks way bigger than that. Jean-Paul is 5'11", 72-inch reach. Philip Rowe is 6'3" with an 80-inch reach. And he missed weight by like 1 pound, coming in at 172. And he seemed shocked by it, so maybe his electrical scale's shown different. And he just thinks, fuck it. But that gives me more hope that he really needs the win, because he doesn't want to lose 20% of his fight. No one wants to lose 20% of their money. Or he could go for a finish. But yeah, Philip Rowe's the new opponent. Philip Rowe will always jump in. He's always fit. He's always healthy. Jumps into loads of grappling events. Big fan of Philip Rowe. Don't think he's championship material, but I'm a big fan. Oh my God. Little stat here for you is every time he's missed weight, he's won his fight. And he has missed weight for this fight. What are we saying? This is someone's second UFC fight and they've got Philip Rowe. It's, to me, you're getting battered. And for some reason, he's the moderate favourite. Maybe he's like from there in USA or something. I can't be asked to click on it because I'm not going to do anything to put me off of this. I'm sticking with Philip Rowe. He was 2.75 when I wrote this. I believe he's 2.80 now. So Strickland and Rowe alone are massive odds. But yeah, right. The next underdog that I'm adding in is Chidi Njokuani, who's versing Carlos Leal, who's like, what's that? It's the main fight of the prelims. So it's the last fight before the main card. Chidi Njokuani and Carlos Leal. Chidi's a striker with practically no grappling, and he's 37 years old. Carlos Leal is only UFC win is Alex Morono. Now, I was big on him, but after seeing him just only win against Alex Morono, because he goes, he does all this before the fights, but folded like an absolute faggot in his last fight at 42 seconds, and I just can't look at him the same anymore. He's the favourite, Carlos Leal, because he's probably 31. So he's probably still the favourite. But he looks old as shit. He looks older than Chidi by miles. He looks in his 40s, 45. Steroid abuser, 22-7. So he's had 29. This is his 30th fight. Chidi's had 36 fights. But he's 37. You know what I mean? Carlos Leal looks 45. I believe he's been sourced up. Come to the UFC. He's 3 fights in. 2 losses. 1 win against Alex Morono. Not enough. Not when Chidi Njokuani is a 2.25 underdog. Carlos Leal is 1.72. Which I think's gone even down even more. I think he might be in the 1.6. I'm going Chidi. We go with Black Man Power to win this. Nice striking battle, hopefully. And just pieces him up. Strickland, Rowe, and Njokuani. 3.25, 2.75, 2.25. That's 3 of the underdogs that could. The 4th underdog that could, that I believe, is their second fight of the main event. Well, the co-main event, which is just before Strickland and Hernandez, which is Jeff Neal and Uros Medic. Now, Medic is the underdog at 2.75, and I'm going to go with him because he's got 2 round 1 KO finishes, and normally just gets muscle subbed by people. That's how he loses. He gets muscle subbed. Now, that is possible by Jeff Neal. But Jeff Neal just come off the nastiest KO loss from fucking Carlos Prates in August. So he's had some time off. But in that time, he's admitted to getting drunk up to fight. What he does in his spare times is he's just a drunk loser. And he's always spoke like a drunk loser. So it's very hard for me to back Jeff Neal in this. Uros Medic is a bit bigger, a bit scarier in my opinion. Jeff's just a bit of a fucking Poindexter. It's the only real word I can give him. An absolute Poindexter. And I just can't respect drunks, innit? Not in MMA. Like, your ending is bad. You want to train like this and fight and that, and you want to be a drunk. The endings are always bad. Look at Tai Tuivasa. Just finally left the UFC. 6-fight losing streak. Looking like a muppet. Everyone turns on you. I don't support it, innit? 32. Very close to height and size. Fuck it, I'm going with the Croatian. Uros Medic. Underdog that could, 2.75. These are such crazy odds. And the next one is the fight underneath them. So the third fight, we have Sean Strickland, Jeff Neal, Uros Medic. Then it's Dan Ige and Ezekiel Acosta. Now this is where I get my next underdog that could. Drum roll. Boom! Dan Ige. Dan Ige is the underdog. Now, he is far more seasoned. Yes, Ezekiel Acosta got a head kick KO against Morgan Charrier in his last fight. But he looked deflated at the weigh-ins today. And Dan Ige was absolutely shredded out of his gills. He's an extreme couture fighter, which I believe is Sean Strickland as well. So they're going to have that hype in the gym. They're all ready. They're all going together. He's 11-9. Dan Ige is. So I think he knows he needs a win to like cement his place still in the UFC. Because when you've been around that long, once you start losing, they get rid of you because of the money they pay you. Because you've been around so long. You get paid well, and they don't want to pay you well to just keep losing and have no fan base. And Dan Ige is practically no fan base, and if he keeps losing, that's it, you're out. But Ige is 2.75. So I've got Strickland 3.25, Rowe 2.75. Actually, let's do this in order. Strickland 3.25, Medic 2.75, Ige 2.75, Njokuana 2.25 and Rowe 2.75. Now you do all of them together, that's 162 to 1. Yeah, big odds. I've put money on that. But the smarter option is to do 4 folds or 3 folds. That's where you bet on 4 of them to come in out of the 5, or 3 of them to come in out of the 5. Now if you choose 4 for a 4-fold, let's say you put £2, so a 4-fold at £2 will cost you £10 in total to put on. But the money you could win back would be £99 to £143. Yeah? Now don't get me wrong, you could win way more than that if all 5 fights come in. But if just 4 of them come in and you've done a 4-fold, you could win between £99 to £143 from a tenner, which is a £2 4-fold. Yeah, them underdogs that could. This card is crazy for underdogs that could. They're amazing. They're everywhere. And my split safe bet that we're going to move on to is Rowe, Njokuana, Smith. I did have Strickland in it. But I do shy away from using main events for anything that's safe. Because main events aren't safe. The whole point is it's a main event. It should be a real struggle on who's going to win. Even if someone's a favourite, it should be a real struggle for them. And that's what Sean Strickland has here. But the split safe bet of Philip Rowe, Chidi Njokuana, Jacoby Smith and Sean Strickland will get you 26.61. Yeah? Very solid bets going on here. Very solid bets. Right, I want to try and get this done within half hour, so I've got 6 minutes. Let me run through the fights. We did the first fight, Carly Judice versus Julian Miller. We're going with Carly Judice. Second fight, Yadir Del Val versus Jordan Levitt. Yadir Del Val is who we're going with. He's the favourite. Next fight, Philip Rowe versus Jean-Paul Lebeznoni. We're going with the underdog, Philip Rowe. Next fight, we have Ramiz Brahimic versus Punahele Soriano. These two have completely equal odds. So we just ditch this one out. We don't get involved in this because we do not know who will win. Ramage is from Travis Luter MMA, good with a guillotine. Punahele Soriano's from Extreme Couture, Sean Strickland, Danny Ige team, and is pretty good with his finishing, with his knockouts and stuff. But throwing it in the air, let's go with Extreme Couture because it's a Sean Strickland card. I'm going with Punahele Soriano. The next fight we've covered already is Jocelyn Edwards versus Nora Knoll. We're going with Jocelyn Edwards because she had 3 finishes back to back. The next fight, don't get why it's not the first prelim fight because they both, one has 1 KO win in the UFC and the other has no UFC win. This is Alden Cora. Let me check. Alden Correa versus Luis Garul. Luis Garul's the underdog at 3.75. Alden Correa is 1.28. He's got 1 KO win in the UFC. We will go with him because he's not bold and he's got a KO win. Whereas the other guys fought a couple of times. The UFC just doesn't have a win. Next fight, O'Day Osborne. In the... What is this? This is flyweight. O'Day Osborne has lost 6 of his last 8 fights. Got no idea how he's still in the UFC. Jamaican sensation. You're Jamaican me laugh with fucking 6 losses in your 8 fights. Now, Alibi Idris is the favourite. He's 1.72. O'Day Osborne's 2.10. But Alibi Idris has no UFC win. It's his 2nd fight in the UFC. Yeah? He lost his first fight by triangle. But it was in the late rounds. But this guy was 10-0. And then he's now 10-1 from his first fight in the UFC. He's Kazakhstaner. I can't see him letting the 2nd fight be a loss. I think it really means something to him. So I'm going with Alibi Idris. O'Day Osborne, you can't lose 6 out of your last 8 fights. It's going to be a loss and out of the UFC for him. Should be a war though because they're both fighting to stay in the UFC. Next fight up, we have main card. We're at the main card now. And that's 27 minutes. We've got Zach Reese versus Mikel Pereira. Now, Mikel Pereira's the guy who does all the jumping off the cage and the spinning and the flipping and all of that stuff. He's in the welterweight division. No, middleweight division, this fight is. But he was a welterweight. They're both roughly the same the same age, but not the same height and size. Zach Reese is bigger, 6'4" and 77. Now, Zach Reese will hunt subs non-stop, and he's a Houston hometown. So it's in Houston, that's his hometown. He will be well up for this fight, and if he's smart, he just needs to drag Pereira into later rounds, because Pereira's crap after the first round. But I do love Mikel Pereira, so it's very hard for me to pick in this fight. And realistically, I've not put any bet on it because I don't want to pick because I love Mikel Pereira. And I kind of love his style, but he's also trash at the same time. Hunting subs on Pereira never goes well for people. Someone has to lose who's from Houston. So fuck it, I'm going to go with Mikel Pereira here. That's what we're going with. And he needs to get the win. Else he will get cut because he'll have 4 losses back to back. So Mikel Pereira has kind of been set up to lose here, but let's hope that he wins. Probably took some sauce because he looks untrustworthy as fuck. Next fight was Jacoby Smith and Josiah Harrell. We've already covered this. Got an D1 All-American with KO power versus the other 11-0. Ground strike and rear naked choke type fighter. But let's move on to the next fight. Sergey Spivak versus Ante Delija. Tom, the guy who fucking Tom Aspinall trains with. He loves him off, Ante Delija. Proper nice. But new to the UFC, but his chin's running out because he's had 2 first-round losses recently, Ante Delija. But Sergey Spivak looks like crap for a 31-year-old heavyweight, and he got KO'd by Jayton Almeida last year, who's just been cut for having so shit and so boring and never throwing a strike. But he knocked out Sergey. So I have to go with Ante Delija because his last loss was a bit of a strange loss. He knocked him out, and then they started the fight again, and then it was just like written in the stars. He got knocked out by Waldo Costa after getting eye poking a Waldo Costa. Now, that was more just stuff to do with the simulation. So I truly believe that Ante Delija will win this one. Next fight, we've got Dan Ige and Ezekiel Acosta. We've covered this. Dan Ige shredded. Extreme Couture, let's go for the underdog. Whoop-de-doo! Although, in my notes here, I actually chose Ezekiel Acosta first. But I changed my mind after seeing him look so deflated at the weigh-ins. And I thought, fuck it, let's just go with the underdog. Because I'm going to stand by my underdogs that could. Because this week, my favourites that should and my underdogs that could, there is no clashes. So I'm just going to stick and stand by Danny Ige and die on my hill. But this could affect my overall record of picking the right winners for fights. Yeah? So I'm taking a risk here. Next fight was Uros Medic and Jeff Neal. We've covered this. Jeff Neal, absolute drunk loser. Fuck him. You're out of here. Let's go with the Croatian. Let's hope we've got Jiri again. And the main fight, we've covered this. Sean Strickland and Anthony Hernandez. Now, this really could go any way. So I'm adding Sean Strickland because it's Sean Strickland. And I think when ex-champions are underdogs like this, it's not right. It's not right. It's not fair. But Anthony Hernandez has great head position and shooting position. And it's, can he take a beat? And he's proved 5-round fights with multiple fighters. But it's not the same as proving it with Sean Strickland. Because it's going to be equal pressure here. Sean will keep walking forward. And Anthony will keep walking forward maybe. I think Anthony will take a step back or shoot before Sean will. Sean will stand there and bang. So I'm going with Sean. I really hope he comes in, especially after his big fucking rant afterwards. It was well funny. I like him, man. Talks a lot of shit, but he just does it. He's like, don't mean anything. They're not going to punch you any less or any, like, they're still going to punch you just as hard. They're still looking to finish you. This is just a bit of fun. So yeah, that's what we're going with. Let's get our money up. I will check back in tomorrow with you, and I hope that one of them is how you flipped your money. Now, you could bet on a single underdog fighter to flip your money here today. Any of them 5 fighters, you flip your money. Tomorrow, we flip our money. So I don't care if you've got £1 and you want to swip it to £2, £2 to £4, £10 to £20, £200 to £400. You flip what you want to flip. But today we flip. And in the current state of affairs where we take £2 to £1 million, we are currently at, what, we won 1, we won 2, we won 3. We're turning 8 to 16. That is what I'm currently got to do. I will go in. I'm doing my bets now as soon as I finish this and post it. And I will be turning my 8 to 16. Now, currently in my UFC bet from £1, I have built up to £45. So I'm going to have a few extra bets because I think this is a strong night for underdogs. And possibly, I feel like I'm going to be putting a tenner on the Rowe, Njokuani and Strickland. Split safe. Let's go. Enjoy. As they say in America. It's not as they say in America. As they say in Canada. Peace out.